Ha. Okay.
And so you become what you are made to become. It's not at all fair that I feel as I do. Tell me something to make me feel better.
All right, we gotta say the rest. We gotta say the rest. Hold on. We gonna run that back. We gonna run that back, okay? Peace, 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 family. Hold on. Peace, 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 family. Whew. Wealth comes and health comes to CosmoTherapy's Mercury Mind Body Healing Through the Thought presentation, a sacred study in Bio-Cosmology and Indigenous Psychology. I am She Lady Vu Mambo, Angela Vu She, Indigenous psychologist and cosmologist of the Aboriginal University, and I am so grateful to be here today, sharing this divine insight and awareness with you all. Wealth come, and so much health come to our channel and our sacred initiation as we grow forth in extrasensory perception. Ashe, Ashi, Ashe. Okay? So yes, this is our presentation. I just wanted to give y'all that lovely, lovely introduction. To shout out to Roy Ayers, however you say his name, Ayers. Shout out to Roy, man. He really did his one too with the I Am Your Mind. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it, but you gonna hear it at the end. So, Ashi, let's hop straight into it. So, first and foremost, let me get a drum roll, round of applause for my great sister, Mond Amaru. Dr. Mond Amaru. Let me put some respect on her name, okay? Respect on her title. Introducing Dr. Mond Amaru today as the first certified Indigenous Naturopathic Doctor and Sacred Service Minister for CosmoTherapy. Let's go, and let's grow, okay? Welcome, Sis Mond. I am so grateful for your presence and I value you out of this world. Like, you are so amazing. Thank you so much for helping create and bring this vision to light when it comes to our shared purpose and our shared values as Wak Olokun shared spirits, okay? Minister Mond had seen some family obligations, so she will not be attending the actual conversation. However, she's prepared a lovely presentation for us today as far as this topic. So yes, so much love, so much embrace, and so much gratitude for this amazing sister and all the diligent work, you know, that she's put in my time of knowing her, in my time of nationality within the Aboriginal Republic of North America. This is really amazing work that we all are pioneering and putting, you know, ourselves on the forefront when it comes to our communities and our tribal development, you know, and remembering who we are, our sacred practices, as well as what it means truly to be an autonomous woman, okay? An autonomous woman, goddess, all that, okay? Because God is all that you are. So I just want to give my special thanks and shout out to her, because even when I started my first cosmotherapy case study, which was the cosmotherapy and dream interpretation case study, she was one of my first few clients that I conducted that study with, and it was a divine, very divine and revealing experience for us both, as I've, grown more into this awareness and tap in to the revelation, that is me, and my mind and my spirit and my glory express, my divinity express. So I really appreciate you for seeing the value, reflecting the value in me, and that we continue, growing forth in our shared endeavors and initiation. So shout out to Sis Mom. And thank you once again. Just had to over express that because this woman is powerful. And if you all are interested in learning more about naturopathic health, especially as women, because we don't have a lot of sisters that are within this path presently. We have a few. In addition, I just want to really shed light to my sis Mom because she's very diligent in her process and attentiveness to detail. She's very structured as a 10th polarity God is, and we'll get into more of what that means later. But when it comes to health as women, first off, as CosMothers, because we serve the mother here. We serve the mother, and cosmotherapy is all about the rites of passage of women, and from daughter, sister, to woman, mother, wife, all the way up to the God is and the ancestresses, whoever, that's who we're here to serve and fulfill within our cultural and tribal remembrance. This is the perfect place, to be. This is the perfect sister to seek any form of, education and guidance from when it comes to healing naturopathically, as well as having that sisterly support, womanly support, and reflection that's required, as women in general, to embark that journey with confidence and, true emotional security, that's needed when you're evolving, healing, detoxing, and expelling certain, illnesses and diseases from your energy, from your body, from your aura, all that. So shout out to Sis Mond, okay? All right, so let's get into it. Here is our introduction to CosMoHealth and Mercury. So first off, let's get into what CosMoHealth is, all right? CosMoHealth is a cosmotherapy teaching series devoted to restoring holistic health through cosmic science. So a lot of us are aware of our more trendy aspect, which would be astrology from a colonial standpoint, is what the world is aware of and that we lead with, which is it has its connections. In addition, it's pretty much more on a surface level standpoint, in reflection to our indigenous psychology system, or the Tzolk'in divination system. So with us bridging the gap, we are tapping into not just a spiritual awareness way of being, but more so of the spiritual science or the cosmic science standpoint, and really furthering the cosmic principles that are at play that we've been reading, within these charts. However, missing certain, being off in certain degrees, in retrospect to the way that astrology has been taught or calculated, and really just mimicked from our original system. So yes, this series is devoted to not debunking anything, but further expanding the knowledge of the indigenous perspective of cosmology and divination. So, co-created by myself, She Lady Vu Mambo, and Minister Manshi Amaru of Cosmotherapy Sacred Service Ministries. Now, Cosmotherapy Sacred Service Ministries is a sacred outlet for indigenous women, most primarily, who have different professions in any form of healing, whether that's your naturopathic doctor, whether you are an aspiring cosmologist, whether you are a entrepreneur, whether you are an economic specialist, whether you are a talk therapist, whether you are a herbologist, all these different aspects of healing. If you have an interest in furthering, your practice with more diligence and correspondence to who it is that you're working with, this is the system, this is the ministry that, you will to initiate through, as we need each element of who we are to be of service within this ministry, whether you're a heart and more in the emotional and sensual and creative realm of work, whether you're a club, and which is more in the mental and psychological realm of work, or even in law, whether you are a diamond, which is more, like I said, in that economic guidance way of, serving, or whether you are a spade, which is more in the, vitality, and counsel, way of serving. I will to have ministers of each element, provide this level of insight to their practice. So moving forth, each episode explores a planetary frequency and its influence on the mind, body, and spirit. Okay? So Mercury as the messenger. CosMoHealth brings spiritual science and functional wellness together so our community can heal consciously. Now, why do I say so our community can heal consciously? The reason I say that is, until we have true knowledge of self and awareness of the exact degrees that we were birthed, as and through, charted through, it's kind of like we're playing a guessing game on who we are, and also who it is that we're interfacing with when it comes to this game of life. It's truly a game, and you could be guessing, or you could really foresee exactly what's coming into your environment, what's coming into your relationships, even what's being portrayed in your dreams, right? And really decode, like, in the matrix, it's codes and stuff. Really decode your personal matrix, So when I say heal consciously, we all have functions and dysfunctions within each elemental aspect that is expressed through who we are manifested here as, and the how or the ori or whatever you will to name it is you. All right. So we fell so far from this level of perception and awareness. So the conscious healing comes from the cultural remembrance, right? The cosmic remembrance of who we descended here as, if you will, right? And we're here to also transcend forth in reflection with one another's true destiny, and supporting each other, uplifting each other, and promoting truly each other as all that God is within that initiation. Okay, so next, the challenge. All right, so what is the challenge we're facing here? Modern communication imbalances. Now, Mercury, as we know, deals with the mind, if you didn't. Okay, so different challenges that we can experience within our Mercury placements are, number one, constant overthinking and emotional exhaustion. This is something that I experience personally, and I've been studying myself within my Mercury placement on my birth chart to fully, be able to gauge like when I'm in my function and when I'm in my dysfunction, and how I am able to regulate my mind, based on my state of being. Am I exercising enough? Am I doing my stretches in yoga? Am I, taking time to meditate, or even taking time for silence, for one, like really just taking time for silence and observing my thoughts, right? Number two, nervous system burnout and spiritual disconnection. So when we don't take the time to mentally regulate, we always talk about emotional regulation. How about mental regulation, right? All the stimulation that goes on via every single aspect of programming that we're always subjected to, whether we're on YouTube and it's 1,000 ads being popped up. Did y'all know, fun fact, I don't know if I'm the only one that does this, but every time I put my YouTube videos on and there's an ad that comes on, I always mute it. I turn it all the way down because I don't want the junk access, programming just stimulating my brain. It just be too much, right? It just be too much. So nervous system burnout, spiritual disconnection, when it comes to all the different overstimulation tactics that are utilized in marketing and stuff like that, this is just a personal perspective for me, that really distorts like my spirit, my frequency, or whatever you will, to call it, because I be tired. Like as spades, we really value silence and quietness, and when it comes to the things that are purposeful, within our awareness, that's what we will to tune into more, because we already have so much, processing going on within the power of extrasensory perception that we naturally have to unlock here, and that's all through awareness. All right, so number 3, mental health imbalances showing up as physical symptoms. Now, a lot of us, if you are a melanated person within the hells of North America, as Chief Ali would say, a lot of us is insane. Niggas is insane, okay? There has been an immense amount of trauma, trial, and tribulation that you've gone through in your rites of passage, and I don't care how far you is in life, baby. It's something going on up there, okay? It's a thought being pondered. It might not be possessed, but it definitely is being pondered, and it's things that we have to address and correct. It's things that should absolutely be spoken about when it comes to us initiating within this, awareness, because the more that we initiate into this extrasensory perception and divine awareness, the more, I would say, from my personal experience, it doesn't become more challenging, but it's like the more the more just the stimulation can become a lot, and we don't value like having like enough vulnerable conversations about our process, and not just conversations to just talk, but like to really address, like studying how we all are growing through this process of mental, emotional, spiritual, and value conscious expansion. Okay, like we are literally Mario mushroom powering up. The more that we learn, the more that we remember, and that can also just be a big transition, for your nervous system, and just how your brain activity is really just affecting, your overall state of consciousness, right? So lastly, unhealed thought patterns creating cycles of stress and stagnation. So this also goes into it. Like a lot of what is our why for being pioneers, as Indigenous people, growing into cultural remembrance and being on the forefront of our families to make sure that our legacy is built upon truth. A lot of it is because of the pain and suffering that we went through, because of the being broke, because of the unhealed traumas that were inflicted upon us via our family members, or the negative speech and talking to each other crazy, thinking that's culture, and whatever the case may be. Like a lot of us, we really hold it on the chest and on the chin, and we doing what we have to do here. In addition, if we don't actually address those things subconsciously, like it's certain patterns that will be expressed, and when we dive deeper into our birth charts and we look at our Mercury placements, now we can really see what energy that we're working with that's actually stimulating the different patterns, and I'll just say the essence or the elemental nature of that pattern, being expressed and reflected in everything that you manifest, okay? Because it starts in the mind, right? Next. All right, so Mercury in the mind, body system. So what Mercury governs? Mercury is the planet of thought, learning, and communication. It reflects the health of the nervous system, lungs, enzymes, and digestive rhythm. It guides how we process emotion into logic and action. Now, I really want to speak on that part right there. It guides how we process emotion into logic and action. Now, a lot of us use this saying, emotion is energy in motion. So it's very important for us to stay active to make sure that we are keeping that energy in motion and expressing the mind in ways that are optimal based on the state of our bodies functioning, how we breathe, everything, that is needed for us to have a optimal, rhythm in the cycles that are coming into play via our cosmology, right? And it's safe to say that this is something that I still presently experience today, like being able to, as a double seven or double walk influence, being able to process my emotions effectively and reflectively, truly, is one of my challenges, being that my key card is a two of clubs. So it's something that I'm here to master, to unlock the innate wisdom, that I have. And that's why I've created Cosmotherapy, because your girl is not the shrink that's going to sit here and tell you she got it all figured out. Your girl is the shrink that is a divine oracle. Your girl is a shrink that is a reflective healer. So whoever, it is that I'm serving, I'm going to reflect and channel. And we are going to immerse ourselves in that healing process together, because it's a me to me, me to vous. And as y'all know, whoever came from my Instagram, that means it's a me to me, me to you. You are me. And everything in this light is a reflection, of one another in different elements, different angles of light, whatever you will, right? So when we have that perspective of healing and supporting and assisting one another, especially for myself as counsel, that is the healthiest, most secure way that I've been able to curate healing space with all the mothers that I attract as a spade, which is, the elder of the initiation. I attract so many elder people that come to me for insight of what they truly already know within. I just reflected, and it's a direct channel between that two of club mirror energy. I mirror the mind, and the emotions at once. So yes, very powerful stuff. Lastly, when Mercury is balanced, we think clearly and express truth. When imbalanced, we speak illness into existence. Now, I have a lot of experience as a seven of spade native or Waka'ak native being or speaking illness into existence. Now, the seven of spade and its dysfunction, or one of its dysfunctions can, be hypochondria. Like, it's one of the health cards, that reflect obstacles in health. So naturally, with my two of club in its dysfunction being the fear card, I can overthink or be in emotional distress to the point that I'm thinking bad things, about my health for this and at the third. And this has been a pivotal process within my healing journey, coming in to the Aboriginal Republic of North America and learning our indigenous health sciences, understanding, what it is that I need to detox from my body. And shout out to Sis Mond for being a powerful, guide in, her own journey of initiating into the teachings that she's supported me with, within my healing journey as well. Getting my bioscan, stuff like that. Like when coming into the awareness of what's really going on with your body, as a seven of spades, speaking for myself, it's like overthink, system overload. Oh shoot, da, da, da. Like, and you have to calm down and really just know, you gaining the awareness is you making the first step. So that's what this is all about, right? Instead of you being unaware and, now these things are festering, and next thing you know, you got however many diseases and you're dying at 45. Goddess forbid, but yeah, that's just the truth. So next. Now, case study, identifying communication declines. Signs: mental fog, shallow breath, digestive issues, speech blocks, poor adaptability, shows across mental, physical, and spiritual layers. Now, when we are not in our most optimal health and being, as we see a lot of people, they they have very short attention spans. They have very poor memory. We already, a lot of us don't know how to breathe properly. We're breathing from the chest and not from the diaphragm. So yeah, there's multiple health issues, and this is created by Dr. Minister Mond here. You know, these different aspects that she's sharing with you all. Yeah, just the specific declines that come into effect, and why our people aren't able to effectively communicate based on, you know, the lack of practice of, you know, breath work or exercise or whatever the case may be thereof. So when the mind creates this ease, what happens? I can't quiet my mind. I'm always tired but can't rest, right? Overactive at night. I know the herbs and affirmations, but I still feel blocked. I can't stay consistent with my healing routine, right? So even though it's like we know, if we are not staying consistent and persistent within our not just physical practices, but our mental practices that we coordinate with the physical practices, a lot of times, you know, the healing or whatever you're eating, it's not really effective, you know, and you'll know it's not effective if your mind is still in shambles. Trust me, I know. Trust me, I know. Because what? Spades deal with laziness. Yes, I'm calling myself out when it comes to moving the body, and also just, I'm gonna say, just being like overall being consistent in the mind body practices. You know, I'm a yoga girly. However, I had to learn the hard way that yoga is not enough. You know, you gotta really pump and move that blood, and yeah, just expel things out of your system so you can think clearly. So these are Mercury dysfunctions where your thoughts become tension instead of, you know, purpose truly. All right. Next, so cellular communication and enzymes. Mercury sparks enzymatic activity. Enzymes equal messengers, digestion, oxygen exchange, and repair. Thought and breath influence enzyme activation. So shout out to Sis Mond for providing us with these cool diagrams here of the enzymatic activity and how, you know, the breath influences that, so we can yeah, just have optimal thinking patterns and be clear, and also cellularly have the functional communication that's needed for our every organ to operate properly, right? Now it's the same as if outwardly we're not if we're not optimally communicating outwardly, what you think happening within? It all start inside, right? So next, all right. So Dr. Mond's demonstration segment. Minister Mond's live bio-cosmological example. So Minister Mond has recorded a example for us going over the birth chart significance, and the Mercury in 11 polarity, or misnamed Aquarius and Uranus, and how that impacts the Meridian system. And she's utilizing an example of her fall zone placement, which indicates a declining in communication function. And the key observed issues will be lack of movement, shallow breathing, lung and enzyme communication challenges, as well as electrical imbalances affecting blood cleansing. So let's hop right into her presentation here.
Peace, everyone. Welcome,
Are we here?
welcome to Cosmotherapy series about CosMoHealth. I am Dr. Manshi Amaru, certified Indigenous Naturopathic Doctor and first Sacred Service Minister of Cosmotherapy. It is an honor and pleasure to be here to serve my people. A little bit about myself. My health journey starts way back over a little bit over 10 years ago. Interestingly enough, my health journey started within the Mercury aspect. All right. I noticed that I was sluggish. All right. Um, I didn't do a lot of exercising, and I was anxious and depressed. And I said to myself, let me see how I can figure out how I can heal myself. All right. So that led me down a long journey of learning and implementing different natural ways of healing into my life, which leads me here today with the education and the knowledge to help everyone else, including myself, with their biocosmology and how to be autonomous in health as well as other aspects. So let's jump right into it. Here we have an example of a natal chart. All right. So the natal chart, it has all of the aspects of the planets where they exactly they were located when you took your first breath of life. And as Minister and CosMother Lady Blue she has explained to us, this is all about the energetic signature that we took in upon our first breath of life upon entering the earth. So this particular person's Mercury is in 11th polarity, misnamed Aquarius at 17 degrees. So what exactly does that mean? Well, first of all, Mercury belongs in the polarity of third polarity, misnamed Gemini, which is all the way across at the top. The problem with this is Mercury is not in home position. Mercury is in fall. So what does this mean? This means that this particular placement will take discipline in order for me to upkeep. All right. Also, it means that I can have a natural tendency to have lack of movement, shallow breathing. All right. The enzymes and my lung communication, I can have challenges here. Also, the electrical imbalances within my enzymes can affect my blood from being cleansed. Because enzymes take on so many different functions within our body, they are part of the cascade of proteins that come together to make different processes, um, processes actually happen, right? So these are things that I naturally, or this person naturally, have to be mindful of. So how do we fix these things? Well, we can make sure that we're actually exercising every day. All right. If your Mercury is in fall or detriment, exercise and movement activity is going to be very important. Also, shallow breathing, the natural habit to breathe shallow. Sometimes if we pay attention, we will notice that we're holding our breath, especially when we're having some emotional stress. All right. So, breathing deep intentionally throughout the day is also another thing that will help a person whose Mercury is in fall or detriment position. Making sure our enzymes and lungs are working properly. All right. Like I said, enzymes are part of the cascade of things that needs to happen or in order for certain body functions and cellular functions to happen. So how do we make sure our enzymes are on point? Well, we need to make sure we're getting the appropriate amino acids and minerals within our diet to help cascade those functions and help the enzymes to get everything they need to be able to operate efficiently. Also, how do we keep the blood clean? All right. We want to make sure that we're taking in the proper supplementation. All right. And that, again, we're exercising because exercise kicks off, physical activity kicks off a process called autophagy within our cells. Without no exercising or fasting, there is no autophagy taking place, which leads to dirty cells, which leads to dirty organs, ultimately, system failure. So yes, those are some things that we can watch out for when we have a Mercury placement that is in fall or detriment position.
Ashi, ashi, ashi. Come on, Dr. Minister Mond. Talk to us. All right. So thank you again, Mon. We have some solutions here for you all. It's not just problems, it's solutions over here. All right. So restoring Mercury's function. Actually, you know what? Before I get into the solutions, I just want to add that for one, the me and Mon are shared. We have a shared Mercury position, which is that 17 degrees in uh, Aquarius or 11 polarity. And with that being said, this is just a prime example of the way the way certain challenges come into face within this specific placement that me and her both reflected on today in our meeting, as we basically just brought in like our operation to fulfill the video. Now, all this wealth, not this week, all this wealth, me and sis, we had a lot of communication, I'll say like challenges. Like it's like our timing wasn't on the same note, or a lot of unexpected shifts was happening, within the schedule, and just things unexpected coming into play, right? So with that being said, I really want to hone in on this 11 polarity influence that was taking place, between us trying to figure out, all right, like what's our schedule and our best style of communication that we can really foundationalize in as business partners, right? So what we found is I was up all night, like going back over my personal birth chart reading, and I realized like, dang, we got the same placement. So I had to really hone into exactly why it was like so shifty in our communication at this time. And I found that, yeah, us both having that the 5 of spade energy and its function, representing just changeability, in labor, especially in work and health, like more flexibility than rigidity, right? And it's dysfunction, more unexpected changes and erratic changes in labor, and between work and health, and it not being like, balanced, like it just being more sporadic than anything. But with this specific 5 energy or Uranian energy, double down in this case in our Mercury position, that's literally what was being expressed, through us trying, truly resisting yourself, to meet and fulfill certain things. And I found that, for one, all spades, like, we have a tendency to we're fire, like, we can have attitudes, or, just have a fiery frustration if you have a more sporadic energy like a 5, like that's what was being communicated more telepathically between us. However, I'm holding space, and I'm co-creating space, and so is my sis, because we know that, all right, this is a new endeavor, and we have to figure out like what our flow, of communication is and structure. And with her being 10th polarity, she represents structure. However, we are both growing into the functional aspects of, our embodiment and how we show up as a team. So I thought that was a really cool revelation for us to come to as we wrapped everything up, because something that I expressed, so with the 5 of spade, I know its challenge is discouragement. Like, imagine you having so many ideas, right? We talking about the mind within, work and health, that you're willing to manifest or expound upon. However, you can't make your mind up, or you can't find true alignment, because it's always like something unexpected changing your plans, or, whatever the case may be, or you're having disconnects in communication. So you don't feel that anything is concrete. You might have started so many things, but nothing is sticking, right? Because you haven't found a concrete avenue of expression within, for us, in a sense, our communication within our meetings. So one thing that I was always, thinking in the back of my head is like, okay, what's next? Like, let me think of the next solution. Because I'm not giving up. I said I'm not giving up on myself. Therefore, I'm not giving up on my sis, because she is me. And just to find that we have the same Mercury was like, okay, yeah, my sis, she wasn't able to come live today because she's a mother. And like I said, we serve the mother. And I had to let her know, I witness at this point so many of my great sis stars in their rites of passage as mothers, and just how demanding that is, and a lot of times witness the underlying frustration, that is expressed when, she feels like there's certain things that she can't fulfill, because she is pulled in many directions, right? So with this specific case, it was more so of me affirming my sis, right? This is communication, me affirming my sis and letting her know that I am not discouraged at all. And I'm grateful to continue growing through these shifts with you, and that we're coming to this understanding that this is the energy that we're working with. So now we have the awareness and there's nothing to worry about. It's all divine order, and how we practice, creating the perfect line, of connection with this energy, right? And it was a quote that I said. It was something like innovation, right? With this is what Uranus is all about, us innovating, right? I said innovation is the branch to motivation, which trumps discouragement. That was the pun. Boom, 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 boom. Innovation is the branch to motivation that trumps discouragement. So that's what I affirmed us in, with us having this awareness, and it gave us so much mental ease and clarity to know that, okay, we share this, way of expression. So it's no need for us to get discouraged. It's just continue to pivot and prosper, because the unexpected is truly to be expected with us, right? So we're going to figure out our flow of communication and therefore thrive within the way we relate, in our business endeavors and our meetings. And it's so important for that's just, one aspect that we found that we connected upon, just last night today. And we just reflected on how, like, this is so vital for not just businesses, but your family, every aspect of relationships that we have, for us to understand, the cosmic influence of who we are, how we communicate, how we take action, how we expand in business, how we're structured, right? All these different things, but we're focusing on the mind and communication most, promptly today. So yeah, I just wanted to share that revelation we had, because it felt like a breakthrough moment for us, as there was so many curveballs that was coming into effect as we were willing to complete this assignment. Okay. All right. So next we got solutions, restoring Mercury function. So as she spoke on nutrition, minerals, herbs, enzyme-rich foods, breath work and movement, oxygenation, reset, thought alignment, affirmations, mantras, intentional practice, healing through alignment. So your girl she's great with the affirmations. That's my thing. I love to affirm and uplift through affirmation, because the power of the tongue, it's powerful, right? Repatterning the mind using Indigenous Psychology and the CosMotherapy method. So this method is a much more expansive and introspective aspect of us healing and becoming aware of ourselves, within our Aboriginal practices, right? And really re-identifying with purpose and our power, truly, our truthful, innate power that, has been distorted in so many ways and tampered with and refurbished and spit back at us, so that we're just on the surface about who we are, and we're boxed into so many different constructs of being that's, mainly generalized, so we don't understand that we have unique aspects of self that we need to be aware of and express, so we're not trying to make ourselves small or fit in certain boxes that, aren't for us. And also, so we're not projecting our psychology onto the next person, or we're not taking it personally that this person's communication style is not for me. Like, I'm not gonna box myself in. I will say that my mundane challenges, like with texting and stuff, like that's not my most high way of communication. I really value interpersonal, organic communication. I'm not a believer that we should have so much access to one another if we're not present, right? So as we know, the five of spade is my mind, right? So that means it's always changing. My thoughts is it like I will look at your text and I swear I said something, but I'm on to the next thought if you're not in front of me. So that's a personal challenge that I'm willing to overcome, that I express to my sis. So that's what we're getting into, mapping your Mercury through Bio-Cosmological Birthchart readings. So you have that understanding and understanding of who you are, and you can express that with confidence and let it be known that this is what I am and this is what I'm not. And I'm not saying that I'm not willing to grow and adapt to different things that's outside of my nature. However, it's not first. It'll be secondary, because we first have to master who we are in this level of awareness before we can even think about trying to adapt or even bend to anybody else's construct of being when they fully haven't even came into this awareness of themselves. Did they get their birth chart done? Do they know they card? Do they know they a how? No. And do they even value that awareness? To be real, because you got to know who it is you talking to, and whether you just wasting your breath, right? Now you losing your mind, your niggas making you feel crazy, and for what? Pick and choose your mental battles too, okay? So lastly, identifying the body system Mercury governs for you personally, integrating spiritual rituals, affirmations, and breath work to restore balance, right? So cosmotherapy is, like I said, it's reflective healing, and we have multiple different aspects of mediumship and healing that we conduct, and we co-create space for specifically pertaining to your innate design, is what we're focusing on, versus our more traditional way of therapy or counseling that we're used to, where we have someone listening to our problems and then giving us advice based off of their psychology. They don't truly have the understanding of how to guide and reflect you, right? So this is taking matters into divine hands as we grow forth in our awareness. All right. Mind body integration and spiritual practices. All right. So mental clarity plus physical health and spiritual awareness. Indigenous psychology, communication as sacred, aligned thought, breath, and action for harmony. Minister Mond's live bio-cosmological example was, breaking down of Mercury's placement in a simple chart, how planetary location links to a specific organ and system, how awareness transforms self-care and healing routines. This is how the thought becomes medicine once you know where Mercury lives in you. This is how thought becomes medicine once you know where Mercury lives in you. Let me say it again. This is how thought becomes medicine once you know where Mercury lives in you. Not in her, not in Day, not in whoever you so focus on, where Mercury lives in you. All right? So this is very vital for us as brothers, as sisters, as mothers, as sons, as every aspect of these initiations is for us to know who we are in the mind, right? So we can truly be the medicine that we're here to minister, because we all are gifted and we all possess something cosmologically that the next person may not. Or maybe it's something that is a detriment in their expression, in their birth chart. And we may challenge them in a sense to overcome certain dysfunctions. Whatever the case may be, it's very important to know who you are, who they is, and how y'all operate without projecting, what we think and feel should be based off of, our innate expression. All right. So results and key takeaways. Aligned mind, healed body. All right. Clear communication and emotional regulation. Woo! Clear communication and emotional regulation. Yes. 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 More of that. More of that. More of that. When I tell y'all, let me just be real. Like this last wealth, was a real energetically, right? And we all have those spells and phases of tests. And mind y'all, speaking on tests, I am in my Saturn 52-day cycle. So the tests have been testing a sister, okay? The tests have been testing. And yeah, it's been more so testing my mind more than anything. Because I have the awareness. I have the psychology. I have the teachings. However, nothing outside of you is the answer. And that's why this is the study of you to the T, to the exact degree that you came here and took your first breath, in rotation around the sun. So with that being said, yeah, I found that when I'm in that Saturn energy, I do find it more challenging to communicate and regulate my emotions, because that judgment that be at play of whatever the test pertains to, I'm not gonna get into my cosmology, I know what it is though. Yeah, like it can really be more mentally challenging than anything. And with me having that 2 of club, like, it's all emotional, the emotional regulation is the key for me to have sacred, intimate communications, especially within my relationships. Okay, so very important for you to know yours. Relief from chronic mental and nervous tension, right? Anxiety, depression, all these different ailments that we experience due to lacking that alignment and awareness. And even when you have the awareness, know that you'll still have challenges, because it's a practice, right? And it takes a plethora of aspects of elements for you to master, for you to fully have the alignment and reciprocity to all that is, and just being persistent. I'm gonna use the word in that. So next, deeper spiritual sensitivity and creative focus. Now, your mind, this is the most powerful tool. What he be saying, what is it, device or whatever the case may be. We are electromagnetic beings. So yeah, nothing outside of you. This is that iPhone that be still in your eyes. Come on now, tap into your OI, your original intelligence, right? We're being challenged to step out of our extrasensory perception and be dependent on external devices and things like that. That's stripping us away from our extrasensory perception and ability to focus and pay attention and do creative projects that really take for us to get those gears grinding in the mind how we used to when we used to write papers and stuff. Y'all, I was like, why am I sitting here stressing like I don't know what to do? I studied strategic communication. I did presentations all the time. And I woke up the other day and I said, I'm doing a case study presentation. And it's not even this one. We'll share that, it's coming soon. We're going to talk about it. Stay tuned. But yeah, I'm like, let me hop in my bag real quick. I must have forgot who I was and that I've been a scholar by default all my life because I'm a spade, right? So, whatever practices that you grew up with, even though we was in somebody else's system and school of thought, like there were certain, fundamentals that we utilize that we no longer do anymore. And as you're initiating in this passage of gaining knowledge of self, in the indigenous perspective, it's really time to apply those foundational skills to whatever your gifts are in this light. Right? So renewed trust in one's intuition and divine purpose. Ashe, 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 ashe. Come on. One thing I express to my sisters is when you learn this system and you study it for yourself and you start to just really understand like what your rhythm and your cycles are, and you pay attention to them, like you don't even, sometimes you don't even have to look at the cards. Like you'll start to just naturally tap into what the energy is being expressed, and sometimes in the function or the dysfunction, depending on where you are within your mind body upkeeping, right? However, it's all trial and error, baby. We take it one step at a time. Okay, so you start to trust yourself more, and your purpose is naturally being revealed and unlocked. You know, you don't need this to know your purpose. However, once you study yourself from this perspective, it's like that thing, that light bulb moment that goes on, and it continues to just the veil is being lifted, you know, and you just grow more and more and more intuitive and introspective, and you start to see the universe responding to every thought that you express, like this, right? So your health, anything that you will to heal, like anything that you will to create, any heart's desire that you have, any relationship that you want, whatever it is truly, that's your currency and your value, you can manifest, right? And your purpose start coming together, the pieces start coming together, the people start coming together. That's, you're here to serve, you know? And that's what purpose is all about. You fully being in alignment with yourself. And when you study like the planetary aspects on your mundane spread, you will literally start to understand that you're dealing with the same how all the time, or if you want to say ancestors or Ori, you're dealing with the same ancestors all the time, right? However you would have say it. And when you, like, I'm always like, when your birthday, like, because I need to know, but I will to know, because I'm living purposely with each reflection that's just coming into my light, you know. And you really realize that your life is a game of spades. This system was encoded into a game, and we playing it, right? So you rather play the game than play yourself, okay? Because I'm not about to play with me no more, right? Next. All right, so come on now. All right, closing vision. So what do we do moving forth, Lady Boo? You go and book your walk birth chart reading, all right? I know that you got value from this awareness that was shared and reflected today. I know that you got more understanding. I know that you got more insight and excitement around expanding your awareness on the cosmological functions of who you are. So with our walk birth chart readings, we are offering a sacred diagnostic experience that reveals the divine design of your health, mind, and spirit. Through your unique cosmological makeup, we identify present and projected health ailments, emotional patterns, and energetic blockages that shape your vitality and wealth flow, right? Because it's heart to crown, baby. Heart, club, diamond, spade. Every aspect of your energy expressed is encoded in your birth chart. And the specific cosmological aspects, as far as your cards, tell the TT for real, okay? So with that being said, this session serves as a spiritual prerequisite to allopathic doctor visits, because this is our health series we're focusing on, offering clarity on the root causes of imbalances before physical symptoms appear. It's designed especially for medicine women, holistic health practitioners, herbalists, therapists, and naturopathic healers. This reading bridges indigenous psychology and bio-cosmology to illuminate your body systems, mental conditioning, and spiritual architecture, guiding you towards alignment, prevention, and renewal. When you know your cosmic design, you no longer chase healing, you embody it, okay? So tap in and book your bio-cosmology reading to learn more about your unique, innate, health being expressed in this light, and the different functions, dysfunctions, detriments, even your possible cause of death that you can, start preventing now once you tap into this awareness, right? And in light of this being our first episode on cosmotherapy, ashe, 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 for this wealth, we have a discount code for you all. So you can type in CosMoHealth 13 for $13 off this wealth only. The link will be in the bio for you all to book your sacred service session. And a quote from my great sis, when we heal the way we think, we heal the way we live. Ashi, Ashe, Ashi. All right? So thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you that you made it this far. I'm so grateful, to provide this revelation. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video, because we keeping them coming, baby. And it's only getting greater, never later, okay? Mercury teaches us that every word, every idea, every breath is a command to the body. May our minds become temples for divine intelligence. Presented by CosmoTherapy Sacred Service Ministries, myself, CosMother Boo, and Minister Mond, Amaru. All right, let's rock out.
Subject yourself to being vulnerable, not knowing why you fall in love, and so you become what you are made to become. It's not at all fair that I feel as I do. Tell me something to make me feel better.
My sister, I am your mind. Within you is a never-ending magnitude of infinite strength, wisdom, and will. You travel my roads through life never knowing your own true reality, because my thoughts remain like distant quasars.
Something to make me feel better.
You abuse me, never letting me say and do as I feel. Our thoughts split from love affairs to choice of friends. We argue like two enemies, yet we are good friends. Now there are moments when we harmonize with each other and become one with nature and reality. But these times are few, when after you have replenished yourself, the fear of the truth sets in. We split and you start to run again. Running through women, men, jobs, people, and life, looking for the answer when I had it all along. But I smile, because I am your mind. I was your mind yesterday, I am your mind today, and I'll be your mind tomorrow. And as our end draws near, we will become closer. But you and I, we will never be one. For I will part from you, and you will part from me. You finding another mind, and I another soul.
Oh, he was good at.
And we'll travel on and on. By the way, I need more than sex to nourish my equilibrium. But I do need sex. I also need sun, trees, stars, creativity, and love. But you saturate my soul with too much of one and not enough of the other. Therefore I cry. But why do we cry? Because tears cleanse the windows of our minds. I am your mind. All your thoughts inside your mind, wanting to be free. Well, now you've got the chance to let your mind grow and be free. Because the music is just trying to say things to free your mind. And if you let your mind be free, then you can understand mine. There's no need to be afraid of me. I want to be your friend. I'm just trying to give you music from deep, deep